Dear colleagues, please take seats, please. Now, afternoon meeting is called to an order. We will now move to the examination of the nomination Sega tambour of Rodrigues Island, submitted by Mauritius. I will now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on this nomination file. Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sega tambour of Rodrigues Island is a vibrant performance of music, song, and dance, performed all over Rodrigues Island. With its origins in defiance and resilience, it is an important means of conflict resolution that fosters socialization and consolidates bonds. Recognized as a symbol of the history of the Rodrigues community, Sega tambour is safeguarded through the efforts of numerous groups established since the 70s of last century. Knowledge and skills are transmitted through imitation and observation, and through apprenticeship with experienced craftspeople. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, Sega tambour is an exhilarating rhythmic performance involving music, song, and dance, as well as associated theatrical expressions. It is practiced in both formal and non-formal contexts. The element bridges the gap between the class and status of participants, celebrating a common identity. It has essential functions such as conflict resolution and socialization. R2, Sega tambour highlights the relevance of living heritage for social cohesion. The inscription of the element would encourage dialogue within various communities and exchange with artists from diverse cultures and backgrounds inside and outside the country. The file, R3, the file points out the Sega tambour is part of a creative economy and contributes to the livelihoods of craftspersons and performers. Proposed measures listed include research, documentation, and archiving activities, the establishment of national associations, and participation in festivals. They also acknowledge challenges such as increased visibility following the inscription of the element. R4, a wide range of representatives of the Sega tambour community have been fully involved in all stages of the nomination process through various workshops since 2010. In personalized letters and video recordings, they expressed their free, prior, and informed consent to the nomination. R5, Sega tambour of Rodrigues Island was included in the National Inventory of Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2011, and also figures in the official directory approved in 2013, with the participation of representatives of practitioners and community organizations. The inventory is regularly updated and is maintained by the National Heritage Fund. The evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe Sega tambour of Rodrigues Island on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The committee may commend the state party for the community-based methodology used in the preparation of this nomination. The committee may also commend the state party for safeguarding measures aimed at monitoring the possible negative impact of the inscription. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, for your very kind and detailed explanation and introduction of this file. We have not received any requests for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? Seeing no objections, I therefore declare decision 12.com 11.b 22 adopted. Congratulations, Mauritius. The floor is now yours for 2 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I have the honor as Minister of Arts and Culture, and on behalf of the Government of the Republic of Mauritius, the Rodrigues Regional Assembly, and the Commissioner for Arts and Culture of Rodrigues, who is seated by my side, to express our sincere thanks to the committee for the inscription of the Sega tambour of Rodrigues on the UNESCO representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. We are also most grateful to the evaluation body for its support and positive recommendations of our submission and for the appreciation of the community-based methodology used in the preparation of the nomination file. We further appreciate that our efforts on safeguarding measures put in place aim at monitoring possible impacts on the element have been noted. It is indeed with great pleasure that the population of the Republic of Mauritius, especially the Rodrigues community, welcomes the inscription of our third element on the UNESCO list after our first 2 inscriptions of the Mauritian traditional Sega in 2014 and the Bhojpuri Git Gawai in 2016. This inscription further promotes the Republic of Mauritius on the International Intangible Cultural Heritage Map. As a reminder, despite its small size, the island of Rodrigues, as part of the Republic of Mauritius, is rich in heritage, and the inscription of the Sega tambour of Rodrigues attests to this fact. Today, Sega tambour is practiced all over the Republic of Mauritius and by the Rodrigues diaspora. It is an important social medium for communication among family members, as well as the general public, which brings them together for exchanges of meaningful, memorable, and emotional moments. The inscription reinforces the commitment of the Republic of Mauritius to safeguard, protect, and promote the Sega tambour of Rodrigues, especially among the youth, bearers, and the population at large. Chair, the Republic of Mauritius fully subscribes to the ideals of UNESCO through the wide range of conventions we have adhered to, and is fully committed in their effective implementation. I would like to express our willingness to collaborate fully with UNESCO in the future and help in its relentless effort in promoting and sustaining culture around the world. Allow me, Chair, to thank the government of South Korea and the province of Jeju for all the support given in the successful organization of the 12th session of the ICH Committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I now invite all of you to have a glimpse of our Sega tambour from free artists from Rodrigues. Thank you.
population of just over 40,000 people is part of the Republic of Mauritius and located 600 kilometers from the island of Mauritius in the western Indian Ocean. It is known for its rugged and serene landscape, tranquil blue waters, and sheltered beaches. The population is deeply attached to its landscape and to strong traditions passed over generations, including unique and rich craft heritage and sustainable exploitation of octopus, a delicacy exported beyond its borders. The island of Rodrigues in the Republic of Mauritius is renowned for Sega tambour, a vibrant performance of music, songs, and dance. Originally practiced by maroon slaves, it became popular all over the island in the late 19th and early 20th century. It is a music and dance where women wearing colorful skirts or frocks, while men wearing shirts and trousers dance energetically without touching each other. The tambour is the key instrument accompanied by boîte, triangle, and mayos.
Mais à la dérive, à l'arrivée, il va gagner nous bété côté Liberina, laissez Liberina. Mais mon appui va pas qui comme dans la bété dans la bété par la main. À la dérive, à l'arrivée, il va gagner nous bété côté Liberina, laissez Liberina. La 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 oh la la la. Mais mon appui va pas qui comme dans la bété la belge y belge y et à la dose va l'arrivée du bagaille nous bété y et mon appui mon balzac comme dans la belge y et à la dose va l'arrivée du bagaille nous bété y et mon appui mon balzac comme dans la belge y
Mr. Minister and the delegation members of Mauritius, congratulations once again. We will now move to the examination of the nomination craft of the miller operating windmills and water mills submitted by Netherlands. I will now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body, so that we can share the findings of the body on these nominations. Mr. Skunti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The craft of the miller operating windmills and water mills involves the knowledge and skills necessary to operate a mill and maintain it in a good state of repair. Millers now also play a key role in transmitting the related cultural history. Mills, and therefore the miller's craft, play a significant social and cultural role in Dutch society. Various safeguarding measures are undertaken, and the Guild of Volunteer Millers, established in 1972, offers training and ongoing support to anyone interested in the craft. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, the craft of the miller operating windmills and watermills comprises technical skills and complex knowledge about nature. It also involves an entire ensemble of related craftspeople. Knowledge related to the miller's craft is passed down from master to apprentice. Mills promote sustainable development through sustainable land use and the use of renewable resources such as water and wind. R2, the inscription of the miller's craft would enhance people's interaction with their natural environment. It would also contribute to promoting the natural association between efforts to safeguard intangible and tangible cultural heritage. The practice highlights creative solutions to energy problems through the use of renewable resources. R3, communities, groups, and individuals concerned have played an important role in devising and planning the safeguarding measures, taking responsibility for their implementation. A series of initiatives are undertaken to ensure the viability of the element, such as training courses and awarded qualifications. The possible negative effects of inscription are also addressed. R4, the millers and other parties concerned with the miller's craft were actively involved in all stages of the nomination process. The 4 millers organizations that were directly involved in drafting the nomination file gave their free, prior, and informed consent. The consent letters demonstrate the profound attachment of the bearers. R5, the element was included in the National Inventory of the Intangible Cultural Heritage in the Netherlands in 2013, coordinated by the Dutch Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage in collaboration with the local communities. The National Inventory is updated on a regular basis every 3 years. The evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe craft of the miller operating windmills and watermills on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The committee may commend the state party for submitting an exemplary nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Bureau did not receive any request for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? Seeing no objection, I therefore declare decision 12.com/11.b 23 adopted. Congratulations, Netherlands. The floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, for giving us the opportunity to take the floor on this special occasion, the inscription of the first nomination from the Netherlands, the craft of the miller operating windmills and watermills. We would like to thank the committee members for this inscription of this file, and we also thank the evaluation body and the secretariat for their hard work, and the Korean government for their warm welcome here. The miller's craft has literally helped to create the Netherlands. Windmills and watermills were used since medieval times to drain the land. People in the Netherlands still strongly identify with this heritage. Up to this day, mills and millers continue to generate wind and water power. They now experiment with new ways of sustainable energy. An important goal of this nomination of the craft of the miller is the cooperation with miller societies around the world. We aim to start an international network of mill and miller societies so we can share knowledge and skills of keeping the craft of the miller alive, especially with the help of voluntary millers. The strong involvement of the miller organizations in drafting this file is of the utmost importance to us. For representatives of the different miller societies in the Netherlands are here. They are sitting next to me, and one of them would like to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. My name is Christa Bruggenkamp, and we are here today with 4 millers to represent several thousand of millers. Work actively on more than 1,200 historic wind and water mills. We keep the skills of the craft of the miller alive for the next generation. You have to know that I am an apprentice miller, and my goal is to earn my living by working with my own windmill. I will do this by grinding flour and bake artisanal bread. Thank you so much for this acknowledgement. We are very happy, proud, and honored. We will send this great news to the Netherlands. The millers will show their happiness by setting the wings of the mill in the traditional joyful position. Thanks once again on behalf of the milling community of the Netherlands.
Okay, congratulations, Netherlands, once again. We will now move to the examination of the nomination, artisanal processes and the plant fibers techniques for talcos, crinejas, and the pintas weaving of the pintao hat, submitted by Panama. I will now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on this nomination file. Mr. Skunti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The artisanal process of obtaining the plant fibers for weaving talcos, crinejas, and pintas to make pintao hats is a manual process using plants and swamp mud. Participants either plant process the raw materials, weave or create the braids used to make the hat, which is part of regional outfits worn throughout the country. The processes and techniques are passed down from generation to generation, and numerous efforts to safeguard the element are in place, including the organization of artisanal markets, fairs, and contests. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, the element relates to oral history, social practice, knowledge about nature and traditional crafts. The process and techniques are sophisticated for each stage of the fabrication process, resulting in the end product. The production process is carried out in an economically sustainable way, providing benefits for the family as a whole, as well as at a wider scale. R3, to ensure the viability of the element, the artisans and tradition bearers have formed cooperatives taught the weaving techniques and established the Pintao Hat Museum. The proposed safeguarding measures include the promotion of the element, its incorporation into the school education plan, a project database with audiovisual materials, the acquisition of planting spaces, and training sessions for the bearers, among other measures. R4, artisans from the communities concerned and cooperative member groups, as well as the municipal authorities, the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, and scholars from the University of Panama have participated in the preparation of the nomination since 2013. They gave their consent in the form of signed letters along with the video provided in support of the nomination. R5, the element was included in the inventory of the intangible cultural heritage of Panama in 2013, maintained by the Panama Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage Project, as well as in provincial and indigenous inventories with the collaboration of the communities concerned. The inventory is updated every 2 years. However, the information included in the file is not sufficient to conclude that the following criterion for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity is satisfied. R2, the file demonstrates how the inscription could help increase the visibility of the element and associated techniques, attract the interest of younger generations, and reinforce the pride of its bearers and practitioners. However, it is not clear how the inscription would contribute to increasing the visibility of intangible cultural heritage in general, or to fostering cultural diversity or dialogue among communities. Furthermore, it tends to focus too much on the commercialization of Pintao hats through the creation of new designs. Therefore, the evaluation body recommends that the committee refer the nomination of artisanal processes and plant fibers techniques for talcos, crinejas, and pintas weaving of the Pintao hat to the submitting state party. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Bureau received a request for a debate for this file. The floor is now open to committee members. Guatemala, Turkey, Hungary, Palestine, Algeria. So Guatemala first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. We strongly believe that there are many elements that should be taken into account before we make a decision. As it was stated by the evaluation body, they're aware of the difficulties that people working in the communities at the regional and local levels have in understanding and expressing how the inscription of an element could increase the visibility of living heritage at the international level. After checking and analyzing the file that was presented by Panama, we have seen many elements that advise us, that help us to understand that this element is going to help not only at the local level, but at the international level. It's going to give visibility to the convention. If you agree with that, we believe as well that the country could be able as well to clarify some elements if it is needed. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador of Guatemala. Now I give the floor to Ambassador of Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, first of all, let me thank Panama for submitting this element. The pintao hat is an important element for Panama, but beyond Panama also. And as a matter of fact, R2, following the evaluation body, was not completely satisfied, but partially satisfied. When we look carefully on the element and the implications of the element on the raising awareness and the visibility of the intangible cultural heritage in general on the national and international level, we can see clearly that this element contributes to this raising awareness and visibility. But I follow also my colleague from Guatemala. Maybe our colleague from Panama can give us a little bit more details, even if we discussed with him, and he gave us already some details that were very satisfying, and that's why we submitted amendments requesting the inscription of this element. And finally, I would like to invite all committee members or our colleagues to strongly support the inscription of Pintao hat. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Palestine. I now give the floor to Turkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We realize that Panama ratified the ICH Convention in 2004, but haven't inscribed any elements on the representative list yet. We think that possible first inscription would encourage the states part to submit more files and participating some multinational files as well. But also besides that, first inscription could also contribute to visibility of the ICH in general and rising awareness not on the local, not on the national level, but also international level. However, by taking into consideration of the evaluation body's recommendations about criteria R2, we need some clarification. And we want to learn, and we ask, evaluation body considers that Panama's nomination file tends to focus too much on the commercialization of the pintao hats through the creation of the new designs. We would like to learn and hear from the Panama some explanation about on this issue, especially about the commercializations.
Okay, thank you, Turkey. Now, I'd like to invite the submitting state, Panama, to respond to questions raised by some of our committee members.
Thank you, Chair. The visibility of Sombrero Pintado starts in the moment that the communities and the people that work the art gather together in festivities in Panama and exchange the items that, and the straws and the techniques that they have. Then it goes to the next level, which is all the events, all the folkloric events that we have along the country. We have several moments, for instance, there is a parade of pollera. Pollera is one of our most important national dress. And at that point, you see the end product. So it starts with the fairs, it starts at the moment of the trading of the crafts of the straws and the techniques when they speak among themselves, and then start going up the level of information to the public. With regards to the question of the delegate of Turkey, the commercialization mentioned in the dossier starts also at a level when the families and the people that gather the straws, and I have to explain a little the part. The hat, if the camera can see here, the hat needs 5 straws to be made. And one has to be with a tint, and the other are the straws to do the weaving. But you see, they don't all grow in the same area. They grow in different latitudes of the country and different types of soil. So The commercialization that we're referring, and it is mentioned there in the file, starts at the moment that the people in different areas manage to get near their homes and near their fields one or two of the straws that have at that latitude, and they move on to different areas of the country to do the trade. The commerce is the trade between artisans that have the other straws, so they can both finish a product. The same thing happens also with the straw that makes the tin color. So it's a commercialization of bartering, exchanging straws, also exchanging techniques, and each doing its part. The end product eventually becomes the hat, which is commercialized because they have to sell it. But they also get the selling part or the barter part, the trading, at a lower level when they're exchanging the different type of straws that they cannot get in their own area. And the government assists lately when we start having setting up the dossier, realized that that was very difficult because they have to move distances to get other colleagues to do the exchange. So that's, they're helping them and trying to set up lots of land to be able to have a consolidation of the plants. So that's comes with, I hope that answers the Turkey. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ambassador of Panama. Now on my list, Colombia, Cuba, Hungary, Armenia, Philippines, Algeria. So I now give the floor to Colombia.
The Colombian delegation considers that Panamanian file clearly mentions the intercultural dialogue that are generated in the frame of actions for safeguarding the sombrero pintao, where we observe a dialogue in local as well as national context. Panama, as well as many other Latin American countries, is characterized by a diverse population with a strong mestizaje and various ethnicities. In conclusion, the promotion of dialogues in a national context is fundamental given the principles of the convention. Sombrero pintao, it's an expression of their culture, and it's an expression also of their own mechanisms of exchange, and as well, it's very important for the population there, so we support this element should be inscribed in the list. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The hearing Cuba, you have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le critère 2, c'est un critère très sensible dans ces conventions. Je pense et je reflète un peu, comme je peux le dire, en communauté, que son élément, ce n'est pas complètement signifié pour l'humanité ou pour le reste des communautés. Je pense que c'est une question très sensible. Pendant toutes ces sessions, nous ne savons pas faire aucune demande de questions ou organes d'évaluation concernant les critères qui mettent sur le dossier. Le cas de Panama, ce n'est pas bien expliqué pour l'organe d'évaluation quel est vraiment le problème, parce que c'est un élément très subjectif de notre point de vue. Je ne vais pas demander en question organe d'évaluation dans ce moment, mais en notre cas, je viens soutenir quelques mots qui viennent de dire mon collègue de la Colombie. Pour la région de l'Amérique latine et les Caraïbes, c'est une manifestation bien connue. Ces chapeaux, c'est très connu dans notre région. Et à notre point de vue, c'est une manifestation qu'il y a beaucoup de choses qui donnent à ces conventions, à la visibilité, et surtout pour la culture latino-américaine et pour notre région. Je pense que nous devons faire bien attention concernant à ces critères, que c'est bien sensible pour dire en communauté que son élément, ce n'est pas suffisamment important, ou on peut dire que ce n'est pas suffisant pour donner de visibilité à ces conventions. Merci beaucoup. Nous sommes pour l'inscription de cet élément.
Thank you. Cuba, Hungary first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Our delegation would like to recall that the R2 criteria, the problem with the R2 criteria, has been pointed out also in the evaluation body report at the beginning of agenda item 11. Actually, there are 2 nominations this year that have problems with R2, and we inscribed yesterday Al-Quat Al-Asiri from Saudi Arabia that initially had a problem with R2. From the information provided in the file and also from the presentation a few minutes ago by the ambassador of Panama, I think there is a bit of weaving together that has to be made, just like the talco weaves are woven together with the different designs and pinters. Our understanding is that this element would indeed contribute to raising the awareness and visibility of intangible cultural heritage in many ways, in particular by highlighting the links among the sustainable use of natural resources, artisanal and social processes. We think this combination to be very important, and it is very well exemplified in the tradition of artisanal processes and plant fibers related to the pintao head. Sorry. So we actually proposed a text for R2, which will come up as an amendment, and if the committee finds that satisfactory, then we are very, very happy to propose this element for inscription. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Hungary. Yeah, there are so many speakers on my list, so please pose some questions to submitting state first. So I'd like to invite my following next speakers to pose some specific questions addressed to submitting states. Having said it, I now invite the representative of Armenia.
Thank you. Taking account the fact that this is the first file of the state party, Armenia supports the inscription of the file because Armenian delegation consider that inscription would increase the level of this existing communication between ethnicities and various generations that receive this family legacy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Armenia. Now I give the floor to Saint Lucia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I very strongly want to emphasize and support Cuba's intervention. It's a little perplexing coming from the Caribbean because some of the doubts about this file, because it is so widely known and accepted, and this question of visibility perplexes me a little bit. As ironically, if we inscribe the inscription that we do there, will boost and open up this visibility in general that you are asking for. And secondly, you would remember earlier in the meeting, I raised the issue of commercialization and how complex it is and how important it is. And I think Cuba had also raised it, and we need to share experiences in this area. We need to really define what we call commercialization and what exactly will be hindering the progress of ICH. The element presented is not exactly the end product. The element presented is the processes and the plant fibers and techniques and so on. And I don't think that is what is being commercialized and so on. And even so, the end product being commercialized, I think we need to understand and debate and share ideas about how commercialization, and this very concept of commercialization, we need to understand it a little more before we just take a blanket negative approach to it. It does have a lot of issues, but I think it is very complex, and I'm worried that we take a blanket approach to it as though it is bad in all respects. I want to strongly support that we move towards inscription of this element. Thank you.
Thank you, Saint Lucia. So I think as a chair, I have on my list the Philippines, Algeria, Senegal, Ethiopia, Cote d'Ivoire, Afghanistan, and Bulgaria. Ethiopia already. So among these speakers, are there anybody who wish to express some opposing views or specific questions to Panama and some kind of having some burning heart? Is Algeria has a burning heart? Okay, Algeria.
Thank you, Mr. President. Algerians has always had burning hearts. Cela étant dit, Monsieur le Président, j'essaie de parler depuis 2 jours aujourd'hui, mais comme étant aux premières loges, on est souvent oublié. Mais pour cet élément spécialement, je souhaitais vraiment m'exprimer. D'abord parce que je ne suis pas de la région dont ces chapeaux sont faits, mais étant citoyen de l'Afrique et ayant peu de cheveux, comme vous pouvez le constater, j'en utilise beaucoup, enfin quand j'arrive à les garder, parce que généralement, ils plaisent tellement que je finis par les offrir. Toutefois, nous connaissons énormément cette tradition des sombrero pintao, et nous les utilisons aussi. Et c'est pour ça que nous souhaitions vraiment nous exprimer à ce sujet. Et nous avons une toute petite question à poser à nos collègues du Panama, c'est que nous souhaiterions juste avoir plus d'indications sur la manière dont cet élément contribue à l'essor d'une économie familiale et qui sert le développement durable. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Nassim of Algeria. Now I'd like to invite the submitting states of Panama to respond to this specific and relevant question.
Yes, thank you, Chair. That's a very good question because it is an important element of the preparation of the hat. The hat and the preparation begins at the core of the family. You see, this is a work that belongs the children of the family, the wife, the husband, sisters, brothers. They all participate in the different ways of gathering and preparing the materials. I don't know if we'll have the chance to see a film, but a person of the family goes and has to collect the plant, has to bring the plant, has to dry it, has to eventually shows the right parts and start, I don't know if the camera is here, trying to take little pieces like this and the straw and make it. But then somebody else, most probably an adult, will have to bring the wood and prepare the pot so they can boil the plant that will start making for the tint that eventually has to be buried in mud to be able to change for the color. And then you have probably the male or the elder child that will take the product and do the barter, go somewhere else so they can barter and exchange for the other plants. So it's really a family. It starts in the core of the family, and then it grows in the village, and then it grows in the country. And it has a big impact just working that way, a product. I don't know if that answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. So we have witnessed some wide support on the part of our committee members. So at this moment, can I ask Mr. Secretary that we have received any kind of proposed amendments? If there are any, please put it on the screen. Thank you. I believe we are ready to move to the adoption of the decision para by para. Can we consider para 1 adopted its original form and no more amendment? Seeing no objection, para 1 adopted. Para 2, R1, I think there should be no objection. R1 adopted. R2, R1, okay, Turkey.
We just would like to add Turkey in the co-sponsor's name. Thank you.
Thank you. Turkey will be included. All, yeah, Lebanon, Cuba, Senegal, Saint Lucia. Yeah, wanna join the co-sponsorship? Saint Lucia, yes. Senegal, yes. Cuba. Lebanon, you wanna join a co-sponsorship? Okay, thank you. So R2, amended formulation, and sponsored, co-sponsored by so many countries. Guatemala, Palestine, Hungary, Cote d'Ivoire, Philippines, Afghanistan, Algeria, Bulgaria, Ethiopia, Turkey, Lebanon, Cuba, Saint Lucia, Senegal. So are there any comments or objections? Seeing no objection, R2 adopted as amended. R3 is the original form and no amendment, no objection. R3 adopted. R4, R5 together, I think no objections. Seeing none, R4, R5 adopted. So, para 2 as a whole, we adopt para 2 as amended. No objection. Para 2 as a whole adopted. Para 3, I recognize Turkey.
Thank you. Again, we would like to join to the list of co-sponsors, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Cuba, Lebanon, Saint Lucia, Senegal, also Congo wished to join co-sponsorship. Okay, thank you. India.
Thank you, Chair. We also would like to co-sponsor the resolution.
Okay, India, thank you. So, new para 3, amended para 3, co-sponsored by Guatemala, Palestine, Hungary, Cote d'Ivoire, Philippines, Afghanistan, Algeria, Bulgaria, Ethiopia, Turkey, Cuba, Lebanon, Saint Lucia, Senegal, Congo, India. So, can we adopt para 3 amended? Seeing no objection, so para 3 adopted as amended. Move on to para 4. Para 4 is deleted or a new para? Okay. Yeah, para 5 becomes new para 4. Turkey first.
Again, Mr. Chair, we would like to co-sponsor this para as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In the same manner, Senegal, Lebanon, Congo, Cuba, India. Okay, thank you. Oh, Saint Lucia. Okay, thank you. So all the para becomes new para 4 and co-sponsored by so many countries. Guatemala, Palestine, Hungary, Cote d'Ivoire, Philippines, Afghanistan, Algeria, Bulgaria, Ethiopia, Turkey, Senegal, Lebanon, Cuba, India, Santa Lucia, Congo. Can we adopt para 4 as amended? Seeing no objection, para 4 adopted as amended. So, can we adopt the draft decision 11.b.24 as a whole? Seeing no objection, here is the number. Number is 24. Okay. I therefore declare decision 12.com 11.b.24 adopted as amended. Congratulations, Panama. The floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. I want to first thank the delegates of Guatemala, Philippines, Palestine, Hungary that helped me with drafting all these documents, and all the delegates that support us. Thank you very much. This inscription, it's extremely important for Panama. The artisans and the techniques and the family, they really deserve it. We have explained on the document in the dossier the process and the techniques and the value of the social cohesion, organization, and the sustainable development, and all the ancestral knowledge that is being transmitted by them. Panamanians of all expression on cultural heritage, on intangible, will celebrate this. It will increase the autoestima, the value, and the motivation to continue with their legado. I'm putting my hat like this because it's called empedrado, and I'll explain why. The recognition by the committee will make a great impulse to this valuable work. I want to thank the team, Professor Emma Gomez, who herself and her team called from the Proyecto de Salvaguardia del Patrimonio Cultural y Material, did a fantastic job going everywhere in the country. Especially to the people in Panama that did that, Archimedes, Rodrigues, Janet Mendoza, their working team in Cocle, Felix Correa, Luis Cecilio Perez, and so many people. I have to close this with one intangible product that in the future might come. It's a yell that we do when we are calling among ourselves far away, or to clear the throat so we can start singing in those festivals. Brace eardrums for impact. Right.
Once again, congratulations, and thank you, Ambassador Flavio Mendes. No, Peru. The film? No film? No. Yeah. Yes. We will now move to the examination of the nomination. Traditional system of Corongo's water judges, submitted by Peru. I will now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that he can share with us the findings of the body on this nomination file. Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The traditional system of Corongo's water judges is an organizational method developed by the people of Corongo in northern Peru. The system, which dates back to pre-Inca times, is primarily aimed at supplying water fairly and sustainably through proper land stewardship, thereby ensuring the existence of these two resources for future generations. The functions, significance, and values of the system are transmitted within the family and public spheres, as well as across all school levels through dances connected with the system. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, the traditional system of Corongo's water judges is a complex cultural expression on customary organization that embraces resource management, religious values, historical memory, and cultural identity. The element relates to the sustainable stewardship of natural resources by indigenous communities. It is a traditional way to regulate the use of water in agriculture, ensuring a beneficial management system based on the Andean principles of solidarity, equity, and respect for nature. R2, the inscription of the element would promote respect for similar organizational methods, religious coexistence, and environmental management around the world. The inscription could also draw attention to water itself as the most vulnerable yet indispensable resource on Earth. Overall, the inscription of the element could draw attention to the close relationship between human beings and nature. R3, the safeguarding measures proposed with the participation of the communities concerned include developing the interest in and knowledge of the element, disseminating information about it, compiling traditions and customs related to it, creating spaces for the revitalization and safeguarding, and raising awareness about the importance of environmental care, among other measures. R4, through a series of meetings and workshops, a committee was established at the request and on behalf of the Corongo people for the preparation of the nomination file in 2014. The file demonstrates the free, prior, and informed consent to the nomination of people who have assumed the roles of water judges, campos, and cabacillas. R5, the traditional system of Corongo's water judges was declared an element of national cultural heritage and entered on the declarations of cultural heritage of the nation in 2013. Maintained by the Ministry of Culture, the inventory is regularly updated by the communities of bearers. The evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe the traditional system of Corongo's water judges on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The committee may commend the state party for submitting an exemplary nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We are very much enlightened by your explanation and kind presentation about this nomination file. The Bureau did not receive any request for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? On the screen, please. We didn't receive any proposed amendment. So, are there any comments or objections? Seeing none, I therefore declare decision 12.com 11.b.25 adopted. Congratulations, Peru. the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I salute you on behalf of the Republic of Peru. Before I start, I want to thank the committee for the great job that they are doing. We can assure you that all the discussions and deliberations made here will be a fine instrument to our reflections at the national and regional levels. We want to show our gratitude to the evaluation body for the kindest words expressed in every paragraph of the draft decision. All Peru, and especially the Ancash region, are aware that this recognition of our traditional system of water judges signifies a responsibility for the maintenance over time of the meaning and values that this expression entails. We hope that our inscription in the representative list will help other countries disseminate expressions of traditional knowledge that combat the consequences of climate change and teach our next generations to properly manage our natural resources. Allow me to give the floor to the water judges of this year, Mr. Fernando Diaz and José Moreno. I will also to introduce Mr. Jorge Trevejo, part of the committee that elaborated the dossier.
Buenas tardes con todos. Tengo el honor de ser el juez de agua de Parte Arriba. En nombre de Perú, Ancash, mi pueblo Corongo, agradezco por tomar esta decisión. Muchas gracias.
Buenas tardes. Soy el juez de aguas de Parte Abajo y en nombre de todos los jueces de aguas me agradezco y me siento muy feliz y orgulloso de representar y ser reconocido mundialmente. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, San Pedro de Corongo, por permitir este momento. En nombre de los coronguinos y las coronguinas, nuestra gratitud al comité por la decisión, acto que fortalecerá nuestra identidad, haciendo que el sistema tradicional de cuidar y distribuir el agua en forma equitativa, con reciprocidad, herencia de nuestros antepasados, será el legado a las nuevas generaciones. ¡Viva el agua! ¡Viva Parte Abajo! ¡Viva Parte Arriba! ¡Viva Corongo! ¡Viva el Perú! Muchas gracias. Thanks.
Congratulations, Peru. We will now move to the examination of the nomination Kolo. It's a Kolo traditional folk dance submitted by Serbia. I will now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on this nomination file. Mr. Skunti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kolo is a traditional collective folk dance performed by dancers interlinked to form a chain, usually moving in a circle holding hands. It is performed to the accompaniment of music during private and public gatherings and plays an integrative social role involving all members of the local community. Performances at key events for the lives of individuals and communities make this element very present and sustainable, and bearers and local communities ensured its visibility through fairs, festivals, and competitions. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, Kolo is an important folk dance tradition in the daily life of the communities concerned in Serbia, which is performed in family settings and during community celebrations, such as weddings, birthdays, and local events. As such, Kolo gives local communities a sense of identity, enables social cohesion, and facilitates dialogue among community members. R2, the element contributes to promoting tolerance and peaceful coexistence between peoples. It would highlight the importance of performing arts and contribute to raising the interest of communities in the transmission and revitalization of cultural practices. It would also raise public awareness of the role of intangible cultural heritage. R3, the file provides a clear description of past and current safeguarding initiatives by the submitting state, developed in collaboration with representatives from the communities and groups concerned. These measures include a legal framework for the safeguarding of the element, support to institutions involved in study, documentation, promotion, and dissemination, among other measures. R4, the community of bearers and practitioners, along with academic institutions and cultural institutions, fully participated in developing the nomination and planning the safeguarding measures presented in the file. They expressed their free, prior, and informed consent supporting the inscription of the element. R5, the element was included in the National Register of the Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2012, following an inventorying process with local communities, institutions, and experts. Maintained by the Ethnographic Museum in Belgrade, the National Register is regularly updated. The evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe Kolo, traditional folk dance, on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairperson, for your body's evaluation and the recommendation of this file. The Bureau has not received any request for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? I see no objections. I therefore declare decision 12.com 11.b28 adopted. Congratulations, Xavier. Now floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Allow me to, first of all, to congratulate for excellent organization of this session. I would like also thank the committee for decision to inscribe the Kolo traditional folk dance in Serbia on the representative list of cultural heritage of humanity. This inscription is a result of hard work and cooperation of team of experts that coordinated the preparation of nomination file with support of the group, communities and institutions concerning this element. The Kolo is a very vital element of traditional culture, widely present in the life of individuals and communities in rural and urban areas in Serbia. This collective dance is performed at private and public gatherings, family and collective festivities by members of all social, professional and age group. Along with having a cohesive power and being a symbol of national identity, the Kolo is also the hallmark of local and regional community identities. Number and type of different versions of this type of Kolo reflect this. Considering this, we hope that this inscription will encourage local communities to identify and safeguard and promote local versions of this element, and also to contribute to cultural diversities. All aspects of the Kolo and all values of the Convention for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage will certainly be promoted by this inscription on the representative list of the humanity. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, Serbia, once again. Let's move to the examination of the nomination, multi-part singing of Horeroni, submitted by Slovakia. I'd like to give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on this nomination. Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The multiple singing of Horeroni involves a variable solo melody of praise singing and more static choir answers. The singing culminates in intertwined parallel melodies with rich variations. Bearers and practitioners are inhabitants of the villages in question, as well as the broader public, and the singing is perceived as a characteristic local phenomenon. The practice is transmitted from generation to generation and through informal education, and bearers endorse the element by practicing it and using it in regular cross-generational exchange. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, multi-part singing of Horeroni is a collective artistic expression. The songs are inspired by local professional activities, family events, various celebrations, and social situations in everyday life, such as weddings, baptisms, funerals, and Christmas. The songs express the collective heritage of the communities and link singers with their villages or regions. R2, the inscription of the element would contribute to raising public interest in intangible cultural heritage in general, both in Slovakia and beyond. As the practice is characterized by improvisation and diverse interpretations, its inscription would promote respect for cultural diversity and human creativity. There is a constant demand for the element during official and unofficial occasions, which attests to a broad public awareness. R3, the state party has developed a comprehensive set of safeguarding measures focused on public support for research, documentation, education, and monitoring. The element is being incorporated into the formal educational system, from primary school to university curricula. Professional institutions also provide measures of support with the involvement of communities, municipalities, folklore groups, experts, and individuals concerned. R4, practitioners of the element, as well as representatives of the municipalities concerned, civic associations, folklore groups, national institutions, and an expert in ethnomusicology, all participated in the nomination process. They provided their free, prior, and informed consent in a written form, as well as in the short video. R5, the element was included in the national list of intangible cultural heritage of Slovakia in 2016. which is maintained by the Intangible Cultural Heritage Center, made with the active participation of the communities, groups, individuals, and non-governmental organizations concerned. The inventory is updated regularly. Therefore, the evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe multi-part singing of Horv on the representative list of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairperson, for your evaluation and the recommendations. And our committee will take it very seriously. Our Bureau has not received any request for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 12.11.B 29 adopted. Congratulations, Slovakia. The floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairperson, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the floor. First of all, Slovakia would like to thank the organizer of 12th session of the Intergovernmental Committee, the Republic of Korea, for the warm welcoming on the beautiful island Jeju, as well as a brilliant organization and culture program preparing the conditions enhancing the friendly atmosphere of the whole meeting in general. Slovakia highly estimates the work of expertise of the evaluation body, as well as time and efforts invested in the whole evaluation process from both the members of the evaluation body and the secretariat of the Committee for Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of UNESCO.
We would like to thank you, first of all, on behalf of the members of the communities concerned. The multi-part singing in Horv region presents a vivid tradition, connecting all generations not only in the region, but also become an element well known by the people of the whole country of Slovakia. Working on the nomination file brought an interesting development in the region. The inhabitants of the villages, living in a kind of healthy competition between neighbors, found a common language and a way to cooperate, fully supporting the spirit of the convention. Once again, please let me express our many thanks concerning the appreciation of the element.
Congratulations, Slovakia once again. Now for Slovenia. Let's move to the examination of the nomination door-to-door rounds of Kurenti submitted by Slovenia. I'd like to give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on these nominations. Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Door-to-door rounds of Kurenti is a Soviet custom practiced from Candlemas to Ash Wednesday. Groups of Kurenti and one or more devils run from house to house and jump around, the owners brandishing wooden sticks and ringing bells. Kindergartens and schools help safeguard the practice, and some formal educational courses and informal workshops help maintain respect for the tradition. Related knowledge and skills are mainly transmitted within the family, but museums and schools also play a key role in this regard. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, door-to-door rounds of Kurenti encompass several cultural expressions embodied in social practices, performing arts, knowledge concerning nature, and traditional craftsmanship. The custom has adapted over time to involve all members of the community, men, women, and children, strengthening interpersonal bonds and regional and local identities. R2, the inscription of the element would raise the general public interest in intangible cultural heritage at the local and national level and strengthen networks with countries in which similar elements are practiced. The inscription would contribute to the celebration of cultural diversity and human creativity. R3, past and current initiatives taken to ensure the viability of the element include transmission and awareness-raising measures and the provision of financial resources. The proposed safeguarding measures comprise research, publications, exhibitions, lectures, and training workshops, the organization of symposiums, and raising awareness about cultural heritage. R4, the Federation of Kurenti, together with the local museum of Tuj, proposed nominating the element for inscription. During all the stages of the preparation, consultations were carried out among the bearers, the coordinator for the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage, and the Ministry of Culture. Numerous personalized consent letters are available in support of the nomination. R5, door-to-door rounds of Kurenti was included in the Register of Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2012 with the active participation of the communities, groups, and individuals concerned. Maintained by the Ministry of Culture, the register is updated on a regular basis. The evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe door-to-door rounds of Kurenti on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The committee may commend the state party for submitting an exemplary nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Skunti, for this very detailed explanation of the different issues raised during the evaluation of this file. The Bureau did not receive any request for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt a draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? No amendment. Seeing no objection, I therefore declare decision 12.com, 11.e, 30 adopted. Congratulations, Slovenia. The floor is now yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. On behalf of the Republic of Slovenia, we would first like to thank the hosts and the Secretariat for the excellent organization of this meeting and hospitality. Especially, we would like to thank the distinguished committee and the evaluation body for recognizing door-to-door rounds of Kurenti as intangible cultural heritage of humanity. We are convinced that the inscription shall contribute to promotion and awareness raising of intangible cultural heritage and shall have positive impacts on the implementation of the 2003 Convention in Slovenia. In first place, the inscription is a great recognition for the bearers of the custom in local communities. It shall encourage them to transmit the knowledge and skills to younger generations and to continue practicing the Kurenti tradition of chasing everything evil away and bringing happiness to everyone they visit. The representatives of local communities and the Kurenti are here with us today, unfortunately not in their Kurenti attires, and we would like to give them the floor.
Dear Mr. Chair, dear members of the committee, members of the evaluation body, dear delegates, we are honored and proud that the heritage element door-to-door rounds of Kurenti, typical of the area of the town of Ptuj, the oldest town in Slovenia, found their place among other elements inscribed on the UNESCO World List of Intangible Cultural Heritage. Numerous individuals and many ethnographic carnival groups nurtured and spread the importance of our cultural heritage. Door-to-door rounds of Kurenti is becoming part of the world treasures, thanks to the inscription on the UNESCO list of World Intangible Heritage. We in Ptuj are proud that we have succeeded in safeguarding this custom until nowadays. In fact, there is not the slightest chance for this custom to die away in the future, for every new generation of young boys join their fathers in Kurenti attire. You will be able to meet our Kurents here in South Korea soon at Winter Olympic Games. Allow me to express once more our gratitude and our pride. Thank you.
Donuts and a glass of home-produced wine. A devil who reminds everybody of the negative side of human nature accompanies Kurents during their rounds. Mischievous as it is, it cannot help itself but to steal a dainty here and there.
2-3 leta zdrži, mogoče plašč, kapa malo dalje.
Včasih se kdo naveliča, ima kakšno novo idejo.
Zamenjam jo, ko jo prerastem.
Pravi korant, tak tu dole, z tega polja, ima korantovo pravo notri poleg cerkvenega gvanta. Če vam to kaj pomeni, se pravi, kak čuva cerkveni gvant ali pa poročno obleko, tako mora korantijo čuvati. Tudi 7, 8 do 10 let jo lahko imamo.
The hilly part of our region, called Hiderellez, is known for their own version of a kurent. The so-called horned kurents wear genuine cow horns on their caps, but the rest of the outfit is the same. Also, their rides and rounds have the same meaning. That is, a landlord and a lady greet the Kurents in front of the house, shake hands with them, and present a small gift to show their gratitude for the happiness they bring and abundant crops they announce. A landlady offers to the responsible of a group a pair of sausages. Why some persons become Kurents and want to nurture and cherish the ride? Let us listen to some of them.
Congratulations again to Slovenia. We are all European countries, from Serbia, Slovakia, Slovenia. Now we are going for Switzerland. So now let's examine the nomination Basel Carnival, submitted by Switzerland.
Thank you, thank you.
I'd like to give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on this nomination. Mr. Skunti.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Basel Carnival is the largest carnival in Switzerland. Starting on the Monday following Ash Wednesday, the carnival includes parades, concerts, and lantern exhibitions, and can be compared to a huge satirical magazine. The carnival promotes tolerance through social criticism and fosters social cohesion. Transmission occurs informally in families, while the cliques also play an important role throughout the year, with several having a section dedicated to encouraging the next generation. The carnival has been successfully safeguarded over past decades thanks to measures taken by the communities. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, the Basel Carnival displays various aspects of cultural tradition, such as performances of fifes, drums, and verses, and the creation of presentation of masks, lanterns, and costumes. It contributes to social cohesion, promotes tolerance through social criticism, and contributes to safeguarding the local dialect and promoting cultural creation. R2, the inscription of the element would raise the visibility of intangible cultural heritage in Switzerland and internationally, especially in urban areas. It would also act as a reminder of the role of language as a vector of intangible cultural heritage. The element promotes human creativity and cultural diversity, as does the know-how linked to the traditional craftsmanship involved. R3, the file describes past and current safeguarding efforts made by the community over the past decades with the authorities' constant support. The proposed safeguarding measures encompass the transmission of the element, the adjustment of infrastructure and legislation, preservation and protection, research, documentation, publishing, and awareness-raising activities. R4, in 2015, the Carnival Committee presented the proposal for the nomination to the representatives of the 222 Carnival societies. The latter supported the nomination and formed a steering committee to work on the file. The file presents personalized letters expressing free, prior, and informed consent to the nomination. R5, the element was included in the National Inventory of Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2012, with the participation of the communities and groups concerned. The Federal Office of Culture coordinates the updating of the inventory. The evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe Basel Carnival on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The committee may commend the state party for submitting an exemplary nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Skunti, for your recommendation. Having no amendment for this file, I'd like to invite our committee members to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole. And seeing no objections, I therefore declare decision 12.com, 11.b, 31 adopted. Congratulations, Switzerland. The floor is now yours for 2 minutes.
Monsieur le Président, membres du comité, chers collègues, avec le carnaval de Bâle, la Suisse voit avec grande satisfaction sa deuxième tradition vivante inscrite à la liste représentative du patrimoine immatériel de l'humanité. Notre délégation tient à remercier le comité pour sa décision d'inscription et les félicitations accordées à notre candidature. Nous tenons également à souligner le remarquable travail de l'organe d'évaluation et remercier ses membres pour le rapport. Si le carnaval de Bâle est appelé aussi les 3 plus beaux jours, l'inscription de ce jour en ajoute exceptionnellement un quatrième jour à Bâle de fête, et il sera fêté. Nous saluons l'engagement et la motivation exceptionnelle pour cette candidature du comité de carnaval des autorités de la ville et du canton de Bâle, ainsi que des milliers de participants qui ont témoigné de leur soutien et font vivre ce carnaval. Nous avons emmené un message vidéo de la part du président du comité du carnaval, M. Christophe Burgin. Merci de le montrer.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Je m'appelle Christophe Burgin, président du comité du carnaval de Bâle. Nous sommes débordés, excités, heureux et fiers, mais avant tout reconnaissants. Le carnaval de Bâle, pour nous, le meilleur du monde, est en bonne compagnie parmi les plus grands carnavals du monde. Merci beaucoup à tous ceux qui ont œuvré pour cette décision. L'inscription souligne notre promesse de sauvegarder, maintenir et développer le genre du carnaval bâlois, satirique, familial et artistique. Un grand merci de la ville de Bâle, située à la jonction des trois pays, l'Allemagne, la France et la Suisse. Vive la tradition vivante du bouffon!
Congratulations once again to Switzerland.
Thank you.
Now let's take up a nomination file Falak submitted by Tajikistan. I now will give the floor to the chairperson of our EB so that we can share the finding of the body on these nomination files. Mr. Skunti.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Falak is a musical genre of traditional music in the mountain Tajiks. Performances of Falak can assume both vocal and instrumental forms, and its bearers are the singers and instrumentalists who perform the music. Falak is performed during family ceremonies and rites and is a central form of traditional music. The practice is safeguarded through the traditional Ustad Shogird method of transferring experience and knowledge from generation to generation in art schools, as well as through non-formal education and competitions organized by local residents. The evaluation body considers that the information included in the file is not sufficient to allow the committee to determine whether the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity are satisfied. R1, the file indicates that Falak is a central and leading phenomenon of traditional music of the mountain Tajiks. Moreover, Falak also has an economic function, since it is how performers earn their living. However, the methods of transmission, such as Ustad Shogird method and within family, are not clearly explained. In addition, the focus on professional performances and formal occasions of Falak may not adequately describe its complexity. R2, the inscription of Falak would represent a sign of pride in the element and a recognition of it as an example of traditional creativity at the international level. It would also lead to a wider involvement of people of all ages in the practice. However, the file focuses on how the inscription would enhance the understanding of Tajik culture at the international level rather than the visibility of intangible cultural heritage in general, or raise awareness about its importance at the local, national, and international levels. The file also fails to show how the inscription would encourage dialogue and promote respect for cultural diversity and human creativity. R3, the file lists a number of past and ongoing efforts to safeguard Falak, including competitions and annual festive events for Falak Day and documentation, inventorying, research, and publication activities. However, it is not clear how the communities and individuals concerned are concretely involved in these safeguarding measures. Moreover, the nomination doesn't present any safeguarding measures for the future. There is also a concern that the safeguarding measures could lead to the decontextualization and institutionalization of the element. R4, the file doesn't demonstrate how the communities, groups, and individuals concerned have actively participated in all stages of the preparation of the nomination. In addition, there is no description of how the communities concerned provided their free, prior, and informed consent to the nomination. Finally, R5, the element was included in the National Inventory in 2014. The Ministry of Culture and the Research Institute of Culture and Informatics are responsible for maintaining this inventory. However, the nomination doesn't indicate clearly how the inventory was drawn up with the participation of the communities, groups, and non-governmental organizations concerned, nor how it is regularly updated. Moreover, the extract is in the form of a list, and there are no important details regarding the description and explanation of the element. Therefore, the evaluation body recommends that the committee refer the nomination of Falak to the submitting state party. The committee may remind the state party, should it wish, to resubmit the nomination, of the need to involve the communities concerned in all stages of the drafting of the nomination file. The committee may encourage the state party to ensure that detailed information on the sociological and geographical aspects of the element is provided and that is consistent throughout the file. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sconti, for your findings and the recommendations before our committee. For the time being, the Bureau did not receive any request for debate or amendment for this file. So may I ask the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? No comments, no requests for floor. I see no objections. I therefore declare decision 12.com, 11.b, 32 adopted. I'm wondering whether submitting state of Tajikistan wishes to take a floor. If that's the case, please raise your nameplate. No. Dual option. Okay. Let's move to the examination of the nomination Spring Celebration Hiderellez, submitted by the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and Turkey. I will now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on this nomination file. Mr. Chairperson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The Spring Celebration Hiderellez takes place annually on 6 May, which is recognized as Spring Day, or the awakening of nature. To mark the occasion, various ceremonies and rituals connected with nature and performed, guaranteeing the well-being of the family and community, and protecting livestock and crops. The rituals provide the community with a deep sense of cultural belonging, and the viability of the tradition is ensured primarily through the annual performance of the celebration and the organization of related events. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, Spring Celebration Hiderellez is celebrated on 6 May to mark the reawakening of nature among different communities in the 2 submitting states. The element encompasses different aspects and cultural spaces, such as rituals, beliefs, performances, and games. There are various social meanings and functions attached to the element, which include healing, environmental protection, and uniting families. R2, the inscription of the element would contribute to illustrating how different cultures and geographical regions can share similar beliefs and traditions. Its inscription could enhance the active participation of youth and hence improve their understanding of the value of intangible cultural heritage. The element testifies to human creativity, since talent and skill are required to compose and improvise the katra carrying specific messages. R3, the file provides a set of comprehensive safeguarding measures involving transmission, research, documentation, awareness raising, capacity building, and the protection of cultural spaces. The file clearly demonstrates that the measures have been proposed and carried out with the participation of the communities, groups, and individuals concerned, including relevant non-governmental organizations. R4, the individuals, communities, and non-governmental organizations concerned in both states parties have been involved in all stages of the nomination process. Evidence of the free, prior, and informed consent of the related communities in both countries is duly provided. As for criterion R5, the evaluation body recognizes that the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, that in the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, the element was included under the exceptionally important category of cultural heritage of the Republic of Macedonia in 2011. It was also added to the national list of protected cultural goods, which is held at the Cultural Heritage Protection Office within the Ministry of Culture. In Turkey, The element was included in the Intangible Cultural Heritage National Inventory of Turkey in 2009, which is maintained and updated twice a year by the Intangible Cultural Heritage Boards, jointly established by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, representatives from related institutions and intangible cultural heritage bearers. However, in the case of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, it is clear neither how the communities concerned participated in the inventory and process, nor how its inventory is regularly updated. Therefore, the evaluation body recommends that the committee refer the nomination of Spring Celebration, Hiderellez, to the submitting states parties. The committee may encourage the state parties, should they wish to resubmit the nomination during the following cycle, to provide a clear explanation of the participation of the communities in the safeguarding measures, including references to gender roles. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, for the very hard work of evaluation body in bringing about the recommendation on this file. This is another case of dual system of draft decisions that we will have to examine during the present session. Pursuant to the working method presented on Monday, the committee has received written information from the submitting states concerning the questions raised by the evaluation body in its recommendation. This written information will be attached for the record to the nomination file. In conformity with Rule 22.4 of the Rules of Procedures of the committee, I would like to give the floor to the submitting state to provide us with the relevant information regarding the following issues. This time concerning the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. First, procedures for updating the inventories. Second, involvement of the communities in the inventorying process. Now, allow me to remind the submitting state that its intervention shall be limited to address these two specific issues. I now give the floor to the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Dear members of the committee, dear representatives of the ICH Secretariat, dear delegates, regarding to the draft decision for the file Spring Celebration, Hiderellez and remark for criteria R5 on behalf of Macedonian delegation, I would like to provide the committee with the following explanation on the manner of updating the ICH inventories in Macedonia with the involvement of the concerned communities. The digital character of the inventory of the cultural heritage assure permanent update and assess for communities and all stakeholders involved in this process. Communities, individuals, and NGOs involved in the nomination process regularly send to the Directorate for Protection of the Cultural Heritage hard copy presentation of their activities dedicated to the safeguarding of the element. Several hundred units have been registered so far, serving as material for updating the digital inventory, and it leads to full information on permanent updating and community involvement in these ongoing processes. Now I would like to give the floor to our representative from the community and barrier of this element as a member of the official Macedonian delegation.
Dear Chairperson and ICH Secretariat, dear participants, on behalf of our organization, which 36 years organized Spring Jolly Festival dedicated to Hiderellez element, I would like to thank to our partners, the Ministry of Culture of the Republic of Macedonia and the Republic of Turkey, for their support in this process. The Element Spring celebration in Hiderellez is very important for Turkish community in Macedonia. At the same time, this element recognized under different names and cultures are religious life and the religious life of various community groups in Macedonia and wider is a symbol of the annual renewal of the nature. Macedonian delegation is confident that the members of the committee will take into consideration the useful and natural explanation presented by our side, which strongly support, in our opinion, the decision of inscription of the Element Spring celebration in Hiderellez on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Thank you for your understanding and attention.
I thank the representatives of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia for the kind explanations. The floor is now open to committee members. Mongolia first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. State Party of Mongolia would like to support the inscription of the Spring Celebration Hiderellez, nominated by the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and Turkey, in the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, and considers additional information provided during this session sufficient for inscription. Thank you.
Thank you, Mongolia. Bulgaria.
The delegation of Bulgaria would like to express its appreciation of the tradition presented in the nomination file, a vibrant tradition carefully safeguarded by communities across a vast geographic area. The information about the regular updating of the inventory in the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and the participation of communities in this process were presented in detail yesterday too and were accepted by the members of the committee. Today they were confirmed again in the explanation that was heard from the delegation of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. We consider that criterion R5 is fully satisfied and we support the inscription of Spring Celebration Hiderellez on the representative list.
Thank you. Algeria.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Nous nous associons aux délégations qui se sont exprimées avant nous et nous pensons que cet élément mérite d'être inscrit sur la liste du patrimoine immatériel. Et je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Algeria. Now, Senegal, Hungary, Zambia. Senegal first.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Sénégal appuie également la proposition d'inscrire cet élément suite aux informations données par l'ancienne République yougoslave, la Macédoine. Et nous pensons que c'est un élément qui mérite de figurer sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Merci.
Philippines. Okay, on my list, Hungary, Zambia, Congo, Ethiopia, Palestine, Colombia, Afghanistan, Côte d'Ivoire, Lebanon, the Philippines. So I think most of them wishing to make some supportive statement. So on a equitable geographical rotational fairness, I'd like to give a floor to Afghanistan. Okay, Zambia.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We would like to thank the former Republic of Yugoslavia for a wonderful presentation in defense of their case, especially that this case involved a partial fulfillment on the side of the former Republic of Yugoslavia, with an explanation which fills up the gap, the partial information that was missing. Zambia would like to support the inscription of this element on the list of, on the representative list of cultural heritage of humanity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Zambia. And this time, just move the continent to Afghanistan.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais aussi me joindre à tous les distingués délégués qui ont pris la parole avant moi. Je pense que les informations fournies, surtout les informations fournies par écrit par la délégation soumissionnaire et les clarifications sont suffisantes. Donc je voudrais aussi fortement appuyer l'inscription de cet élément. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Afghanistan. As customary, the remaining speakers' name will be duly reflected on our summary record. If you allow me, I'd like to move to the adoption of the decision para by para. Seeing no objections, please put the amended proposal. Para 1. No amendment and in original form. I think there should be no objection. Para 1 adopted. Para 2, it concerns R5. So para 2, R1, R2, R3, R4, there must be no objections. Seeing none, para 2 from R1 through R4 adopted. So whole para of para 2 is adopted. Now we are examining para 3. Are there any comments? Yes, I think we have created some kind of a standard form. I see none. Para 3 containing R5 is adopted. Para 4 and para 5, no amendment in original form. Seeing no objection, para 4 and para 5 are adopted. Can we then adopt the decision as a whole as amended? Seeing no objection, I therefore declare decision 12.com 11.b 33 adopted as amended. I now give the floor to submitting state, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and Turkey. The former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. On behalf of the Ministry of Culture of the Republic of Macedonia, and the Ministry of Culture and Tourism of the Republic of Turkey as a partners who participated in the process of preparing joint nomination file of the element Spring Celebration Hiderellez. I would like to cordially thanks to all members of the committee for their understanding and accepting our explanation presented to the present session. In this regard, I would like to thank once again to our colleagues and experts from the Republic of Turkey for excellent cooperation and high professionalism expressed by their side during long-term process of preparation and submission of our joint nomination file. The inscription of the element Spring Celebration Hiderellez on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity for our countries is great honor and recognition, but also obligation and more to promote and save this element as well as to stimulate the bearers to educate the new generation for practice and share this element in their community and widely. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Turkey.
Just a second. And you must say something. Excuse me. I take this opportunity to thanks to the Secretariat for the decision of the inscription of the element Spring Celebration Hiderellez to the representative list of the ICH of the humanity. This decision is confirmation for the universal value of this element. Our country and our organization will have opportunity to celebrate this important event not only on national but also on regular, regional and international level under umbrella of UNESCO. I would like to invite all of you on 6th of May 2018 in my country, Macedonia, to celebrate together Hiderellez. Thank you.
Now, I'd like to invite Turkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me first of all thank the committee members wholeheartedly for their support for the inscription of this element on behalf of our two submitting states. Hiderellez is a celebration of spring every year on May 6th by many communities over a wide geographical area. It is celebrated on the waterfronts, in wooded areas, high hills or green spaces, which the communities define as cultural spaces and believed to be sacred. Hiderellez is considered to be the first day for the transition from winter to spring, according to the traditional calendar used in the region, and is acknowledged as the day of abundance, renewal, and hope. On this day, the communities, groups, and individuals have a strong connection with nature. They come together and have fun. In this sense, it is important that Hiderellez, a symbol of peace and dialogue with people and harmony with nature, is inscribed on the representative list. The people of the region gave different names to this day, which is related to the traditional calendar and to the transformation in nature. Members of different religions and cultures celebrate this day every year on May 6th in peace and dialogue. We once again thank the committee members for their positive consideration of Hiderellez for its inscription on the representative list. Rest assured that 6th of May will be celebrated as the spring celebration more enthusiastically in the wide geographic area from the Middle East to the Balkans, and in many places where the communities that emanate this culture have immigrated, and that this inscription will make a strong contribution to the visibility of the convention. With this understanding, as a state party who supports multinational files with wider geographical coverage, we are open to the extension of this multinational file with the participation of those state parties who share Hiderellez as a common cultural heritage. Concluding my remark, I would also like to thank our institutions, particularly the Ministry of Culture. Our Director General is sitting next to me, our National Commission, who were involved in the preparation of the file. So thank you very much once again for the support.
Congratulations once again to the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and Turkey. We will now move to the examination of the nomination Kushtdepdi, right of singing and dancing, submitted by Turkmenistan. I will now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on these nominations. Mr. Skundi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The Kushtdepdi, right of singing and dancing, is a performing art involving creative poeticizing focused on good feelings and wishes. It is performed during ceremonies and national celebrations and involves singing with vocal improvisation and dancing with movements of the hands, gestures, and footsteps. The bearers and practitioners are actively involved in safeguarding the practice through performances and the compilation of introductory teaching resources. The knowledge and skills are traditionally transmitted from master singers to amateurs through informal training. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1, Kushtdepdi, rite of singing and dancing, forms part of family ceremonies such as births and weddings and national celebrations. The rite serves to promote happiness, fertility, and welfare for the communities and promotes peace and solidarity, social cohesion, and unity among community members. R2, the inscription of the element would contribute to a better understanding of the performing arts as a tool for dialogue between generations and for social cohesion between the country and abroad, both in the country and abroad, as a platform for exchange and cultural cooperation that could strengthen ties between people of different ages and categories and foster tolerance and respect between genders. The element contributes to intercultural and intergenerational communication. R3, the viability of the element has been ensured by coordinated efforts by the communities and institutions concerned in both the past and present. Such measures include publishing activities, identification, documentation, educational awareness raising, and capacity building measures at the national level and performances during wedding ceremonies, social events, and national celebrations, among other measures. R4, the preparation of the nomination file involved the wide active participation of the communities concerned. They were also intensely involved in collecting documentation during the nomination process. R5, the element was included in the National Inventory of the Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2013. This inventory is maintained by the Department of the Intangible Cultural Heritage at the Ministry of Culture, drawn up with the active participation of bearers, practitioners, community members, and members of folklore groups and other stakeholders. It is updated annually. The evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe Kushtdepdi, rite of singing and dancing, on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The committee may remind the state party that measures aiming at safeguarding the element should not attempt to freeze the element and underlines that the inherently living and evolving nature of intangible cultural heritage. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. The Bureau did not receive any request for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? Are there any comments, objections? No. I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 12.com 11.b 34 adopted. Congratulations, Turkmenistan. Now the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, dear Chairman. On behalf of the delegation of Turkmenistan, I thank the evaluation body and the Secretariat for their kind support of the nomination file of Kushtdepdi, right of singing and dancing. In this context, it is important to note that this is third element from Turkmenistan already have been inscribed on the UNESCO's representative list of the intangible heritage of humanity. Thus, the element being one of the richest examples of the intangible cultural heritage of Turkmenistan, contributes to intercultural and intergenerational communication, as well as to a better understanding of cultural diversity of the Turkmens by the world community. Furthermore, the inscription will facilitate the safeguarding of all other domains of the intangible cultural heritage in Turkmenistan and their properly transmission to the next generation. Thank you again, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and once again, congratulations, Turkmenistan. We will now move to the examination of the nomination, The Art of Bai Choi in Central Vietnam, submitted by Vietnam. I now give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body so that we can share the findings of the body on this nomination file. Mr. Skunti, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The art of Bai Choi in Central Vietnam is a diverse art combining music, poetry, acting, painting, and literature. Bai Choi is an important form of culture and recreation whose bearers and practitioners include artists, performers, card-making artists, and hat-making artists. Performers and their families play a major role in safeguarding the practice, and numerous dedicated groups exist. Most performers learn their skills within the family, but specialist artists also transmit their knowledge in clubs, schools, and associations. From the information included in the file, the nomination satisfies the following criteria for inscription on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. R1. The art of Bai Choi is an important cultural practice within the village communities, providing entertainment as well as a context for socializing and enjoying the arts. Bai Choi stories include lessons on morality, compassion, as well as love for the village and for the communities concerned. The element provides an aesthetic platform to express their feelings, knowledge, and life experiences. R2. the inscription of the art of Bai Choi would encourage dialogue among communities, groups, and individuals. It would also create opportunities for exchange and the sharing of experience between performers, thereby enriching knowledge and skills related to the practice of the art form. It would also raise awareness of the diversity of intangible cultural heritage, as the element combines multiple domains of cultural expressions. Art3, the file provides a clear, sufficiently detailed description of the past and current efforts to safeguard the element and ensure its viability by communities, groups, and clubs with the support of the government. Such efforts include the organization of Bai Choi festivals and performances, and teaching the related song repertories, singing skills, performing techniques, hat and card making methods, and playing techniques. R4, the community actively contributed ideas for cataloging the element, filled in the inventory forms, and participated in all stages of the preparation of the nomination file. Individuals and representatives of Bai Choi groups and clubs signed to demonstrate their free, prior, and informed consent to the nomination, which is also expressed in the audio and video recordings of interviews conducted in regions that practice Bai Choi. R5, the element was included on the national list of intangible cultural heritage by the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism in 2013 and 2014. The inventory is held in the Intangible Cultural Heritage Management Information System archive of the Department of Cultural Heritage of Vietnam. The Departments of Culture, Sports, and Tourism in the 9 provinces are responsible for cooperating with communities to update information about the element every year. The Vietnamese Institute for Musicology manages the database on the art of Bai Choi and updates it every year. Therefore, the evaluation body recommends that the committee inscribe the art of Bai Choi in central Vietnam on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much for this very detailed explanation of the various issues raised during the evaluation of this nomination file. Secretariat tells me we don't have any amendment for this file. Therefore, may I ask the committee members to adopt the draft decision on this file as shown on the screens as a whole? I see no objections. I therefore declare decision 12.com 11.b 35 adopted. Congratulations, Vietnam. The floor is now yours for 2 minutes.
Dear Mr. Chairperson and distinguished members of the committee, allow me on behalf of the Vietnam National Commission for UNESCO to express our gratitude for the inscription. And now, may I introduce Madame Đặng Thị Bích Liên, Vice Minister of Ministry of Culture, Sport and Tourism of Vietnam, to deliver her speech. She will speak in Vietnamese, and the remark will be translated accordingly.
Kính thưa ông Chủ tịch, thưa toàn thể các quý vị, trước hết tôi chân thành cảm ơn Ủy ban Liên Chính phủ, Ủy ban Thư ký Công ước 2003 và Hội đồng thẩm định đã ghi danh di sản nghệ thuật bài tròi của tỉnh Trung Bộ Việt Nam vào danh mục di sản văn hóa phi vật thể đại diện cho nhân loại. Việc ghi danh này có ý nghĩa to lớn, khẳng định bản chất văn hóa phong phú của dân tộc Việt Nam, sự gắn kết cộng đồng, đề cao tôn vinh đa dạng văn hóa, khuyến khích đối thoại giữa các cá nhân, các cộng đồng và các dân tộc khác nhau vì sự khoan dung, tình yêu và lòng nhân ái đúng theo tôn chỉ và mục tiêu cao đẹp của UNESCO. Nghệ thuật bài tròi là hoạt động văn hóa quan trọng trong cộng đồng làng xã, đáp ứng nhu cầu giải trí và thưởng thức nghệ thuật, thể hiện tình yêu quê hương, đất nước và những kinh nghiệm trong cuộc sống của người dân Việt Nam. Thay mặt nhà nước Việt Nam và cộng đồng chủ thể di sản, tôi cam kết thực hiện các biện pháp cần thiết nhằm bảo vệ và phát huy giá trị của nghệ thuật bài tròi Trung Bộ Việt Nam. Chúng tôi cũng xin chân thành cảm ơn nước chủ nhà với lòng mến khách đã chuẩn bị và tiếp đón chu đáo với kỳ họp và các đại biểu. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn. Thank you very much.
Dạ thần nữ Nam Dương bái hoàng huynh, chúc bệ hạ tế tân vạn tuế.
Lệnh mà nghe hiệu tôi hô tiếp con gì đây đà con à. Ai ơi tơ vui chưa, có gái điêu thiền ngày đưa động cách.
Gạo đây mang đây mà ăn, tiền đây mang đây quan con tiêu đường, con đừng bằng yêu mà vẫn đường bước đi còn thăm dầm là trường.
Cái đường ta đi ra Thọ Châu Thành, cái con chi mà tạc bản đỡ giữa đường cũng lạ. Hãy xem qua xét lại ban này coi đỡ coi cái sức gái, cái tài hay nào bậc nào.
Đi dầu cầu bán đóng đinh, cầu tre lắc lẻo gặp ghề ngư hó đi. Học đời mới nên, ơi bạn mình ơi là cái anh nhất trò, là cái anh nhất trò.
Congratulations once again to Vietnam for their nomination file. And I'm very thankful for the presence of a high-level delegation led by Deputy Minister at this session meeting. Now, let's get back to earlier nomination file, and I think it's the last file of today. Let me turn to the examination of the nomination Khaen music of the Lao people, submitted by Lao People's Democratic Republic. I'd like to give the floor to the chairperson of the evaluation body. Okay. We already.
This was suspended and we have.
Yeah, let's go not back to the future, but back to the past. Yeah, Philippines.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. And we know that we were already discussing the draft decision on this item. But before getting back into the draft decision, we'd like to, of course, express our thanks to Laos for submitting this nomination and recognize the importance of the element for communities and the state party, friendly neighbor of the Philippines in the region. However, we'd like to ask the distinguished chair of the evaluation body regarding the information provided to us this morning by the state party, whether in their view the file is now in conformity with R3 and R5. We'd like to request the views of the evaluation body, please, before getting back into the discussion on the file, on the decision, as well as I think there are some amendments that some committee members will present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Philippines. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Kurenti, our chairperson, to respond to this specific question.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Je remercie l'honorable délégué des Philippines pour cette question. Nous n'avons pas reçu d'informations écrites pour pouvoir statuer sur le caractère complet de l'information qui est demandée pour les critères R3 et R5. Pour le moment, l'information que nous avons est celle qui est contenue dans le dossier qui nous a été soumis, qui a été évalué par l'organe d'évaluation. Pour le critère R3, nous avons une description de mesures de sauvegarde qui ont déjà été mises en œuvre. Nous n'avons pas de mesures de sauvegarde prévues à l'avenir, comme cela est demandé. Pour le critère R5, il manque encore la mise à jour de l'inventaire et l'organe responsable de le maintenir. Donc voilà où nous en sommes. Maintenant, c'est au comité de juger si l'information qui est donnée oralement par l'État partie lui permet de considérer que ces deux critères sont satisfaits. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairperson of Evaluation Body. Having heard from Mr. Kurenti, I think we'd better ask the floor from our secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Dear committee members, the practice in the past has been no additional information was to be included during the deliberation of the committee. Last year, the committee recognized clarifications in the interventions by state parties. But additional information is not to be introduced into the committee. The dual option is a novel mechanism where the evaluation body is inviting the committee to examine that. The rule says specifically, and I will read it to you, 22.4, representatives of a state party, whether or not a member of the committee, shall not speak to advocate the inclusion in the list mentioned in Articles 16 and 17 of the Convention of an item of the intangible cultural heritage nominated by that state, or to endorse a request for assistance submitted by that state, but only to provide information in reply to questions raised. This provision applies to all observers mentioned in Rule 8. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tim Curtis. I recognize that Philippines once again, and followed by Palestine. I give the floor first to Philippines.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and we'd like to thank the chair of the evaluation body and Mr. Curtis for the information they provided. We had asked the evaluation body for its views precisely to get us to this point and to show clearly that we need to be consistent here as a committee, despite the importance of the files before us. So we'll leave our remarks here for the time being and shall engage if other committee members still wish to present amendments despite the rules that you have outlined, Mr. Curtis, and despite the experts' views presented by the chair of the evaluation body. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Philippines. Now go Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would like first to thank my colleague from Philippines and the Secretariat and the evaluation body, especially the evaluation body, because the answer was very clear. The submissionary state party did not submit written information to the evaluation body, and the evaluation body mentions clearly what are the missing elements in the files. It is not fundamental elements. As for the R5, it has been mentioned, and it is clear that it is not clearly stipulated how the inventory is regularly updated and which body is responsible for the maintaining it. This was answered by the delegate of Laos this morning, and the answer also has been provided to the committee members by written. So for R5, I think it is completely satisfied. As for R3, as a matter of fact, the evaluation body recognized that there were several actions implemented in relation with the safeguarding of the element. But the only thing that is missing, they said, the future plan of the safeguarding. And that's why I would like to ask you, Mr. Chair, since we started this morning to examine the DR, this is taken into consideration in the amendments that we submitted to the Secretariat. So with your permission, Mr. Chair, can we proceed to see the DR with the amendments, and then it is free to any member to support or to oppose it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, after hearing from distinguished representative of Ethiopia, we'd better discuss based upon newly proposed amendment. So I now give the floor to Ethiopia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving us the floor. We have carefully followed the comments made by distinguished delegates from Palestine, which I share. And we would like also to welcome and congratulate the submitting state for bringing this file in the first place. And listening to the explanations we just have had by the distinguished delegates elaborating to the concerns of the evaluation body, we just share the arguments that already the evaluation body has reflected for satisfactory effort on safeguarding measures in place. And as for the future efforts, together with other committee members, we have tried to come with some script encouraging the submitting state to further its efforts for comprehensive future safeguarding measures. We thus share it, and therefore with the amendments proposed, we strongly support the inscription of the element and encourage the submitting state to work on its future plans of safeguarding, which in a way will help fulfill to the concerns of the evaluation body. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ethiopia. May I ask Secretariat that do we have received any proposed amendment?
Indeed, we have, Mr. Chairperson, we'll bring it up on screen and perhaps it...
I'd like to ask the Secretariat to give us some briefing or explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. You will recall this morning when this item opened, some paragraphs were adopted. One paragraph was partially adopted, but it wasn't adopted as a whole, and certainly the whole decision was not adopted as a whole. So if we go up perhaps to the beginning, and let us examine what has been adopted, what has not been adopted. Paragraph 1, I believe, was adopted as a whole. Can we scroll down? Yeah, thank you. Paragraph 2 was adopted as a whole. We scroll down. No, this... Yeah, so, okay. So now we are showing what the draft amendment was. Keep going down anyway. Oh, I see. Yeah, so let's look at what, this is the draft amended, okay? So in order to understand where we are. This morning, paragraph 3, R3 and R5 was adopted, okay? But those are just R's, it's not the paragraph. And if we go up, paragraph 3 as a whole was not adopted, okay? This draft amendment asks us to reopen paragraph 2 and to delete paragraph 3. Just to clarify what is going, and Legal Affairs says the committee can by consensus do that as long as the whole decision is not adopted. Thank you. I would...
Okay, Legal Counsel, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, in fact, as the Secretariat has just informed you, certain paragraphs had been adopted, and not the whole decision, but this committee is a sovereign body, and you can reopen the paragraphs that had already been adopted in order to adopt, to amend and adopt the final decision. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Legal Counsel. Yeah, I think we can decide, committee members can decide everything. So for the convenience, I think we'd better start from the scratch. So just scroll down. Armenia.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Si on pouvait, je voulais demander la même chose. Si on peut réouvrir et regarder le paragraphe précédent. Merci.
Okay, thank you, Armenia. So, yeah, we'll take up once new amendment was proposed. Austria.
From what we had heard as an explanation by the evaluation body and by Mr. Secretary, we would like to align with the delegation from Philippines.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments before taking up the proposed amendment? It's a kind of some general comment. Afghanistan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted just to remind that this morning the reason we suspended discussion of this item was to allow for discussion and preparation if there was of an amendment. And now we see that there is an amendment. Thank you.
Mr. Tinkotis, can you explain some of the
Well, if I understand the conversation, and this is obviously your choice, the committee wishes to reopen the thing. Okay, so we, in that sense, perhaps paragraph 1 has already been adopted. There is no change to paragraph 1, so we can keep paragraph 1, should the committee agree, and move straight to reopening paragraph 2.
No, it's my wish. From the beginning, it's a para 1. Yeah, a new. Yeah, just scroll down. No, up. Yeah, para 1. Yeah. Para 1 is the original form. Original language, original text. So I see no objections. Para 1, seeing no objection, is adopted again. Para 2, R1. We are talking about R3 and R5. So Rn and R2, I think there's no objection. Seeing no objection, para 2, R1, R2 are adopted. R3. Now floor is open, and it's a new proposed amendment by Palestine, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Cuba, Senegal, Armenia, Mauritius, Côte d'Ivoire, Lebanon, Afghanistan, Ethiopia. So may I invite our committee members to comment? Okay, Congo.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Congo souhaite que son nom soit porté dans la liste de ceux qui ont porté des amendements. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Congo. Now I recognize distinguished representative of Hungary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Our delegation fully respects the respective positions of all members of this committee. While we would like to join the consensus and go along the consensus, we would also express our respect in particular for the position of Austria and the Philippines. But in the spirit of consensus and going along with the decision that seeps together more than the majority, in fact a consensus, almost a consensus in the room, we would like to bring a small amendment to this paragraph based on the report and recommendations of the evaluation body. As I'm reading the text on the screen, and having read the original proposal by the evaluation body, it seems to me that the sentence starting with "the government has created a national action plan and adequate policies for the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage," well, in this sentence we would like to delete the word adequate, because the evaluation body actually pointed out that the measures that have been undertaken seem to have certain deficiencies. So we would not like to approve and confirm something that the evaluation body judges as not fully in line with the convention. With that in mind, we would like to make an amendment, if it is not yet in the proposed text by Palestine, after the paragraph that decides about inscription. But that I would like to read out later. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Hungary. With the deletion of adequate, and Hungary can join the co-sponsorship with some additional comment at a later stage. So I counted up to now almost 13 countries. Okay, Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand fully the concern of our colleague from Hungary, but this word is not, was not added by Palestine and the co-sponsors of the amendment. This word was proposed by the Secretariat and the evaluation body. So if you look to the original text, the word adequate is already there. So I prefer to keep it since it was there. But if this makes Hungary join the consensus, we can be flexible. But otherwise, I just want to remind him that this is not our proposal, this is the Secretariat proposal. Thank you. or the evaluation body proposal. Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Palestine. Any other comments? I think it's time to invite Hungary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Well, it's a tricky situation. The amendment as it stands would pick up parts of the evaluation body text that actually spells out the positive elements and then deletes the negative parts. We think turning a blind eye to problems doesn't help to solve them. We think it is better to look at them and try to help to solve them constructively, and this committee is there to safeguard cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage, and in particular with the participation of communities. So this is why, in a spirit of consensus, we are ready to join the text that puts forward the positive aspects, but with a slight touch of importing at least elements, or at least not saying overly too much, which would be incomprehensible, which would be contradictory to the other parts of the originally proposed text by the evaluation body. So if you could accommodate this slight modification, we can go along with R3 and then probably with the rest of the decision as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Hungary. I think it's a very balanced proposal, and I recognize Ethiopia and Algeria. Ethiopia first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The distinguished delegate from Hungary, as he said, probably if he had the opportunity to read the paragraph after the inscription, I think he would have captured why we had to remain silent, along with the distinguished delegate from Palestine, with the wording of adequate. One thing I would like to note is the existing, as the evaluation body have reported, the existing measure is good enough, which is the positive you have reflected, and it is the future plan which the concern they have. And if we remain to agree with the recommendations for the future plan and keep the positivity of the texts, well, it is by default, meaning we are perceiving that the effort of the submitting state is adequate. Adequate doesn't mean absolute. If it were absolute, yes, we would be objecting, for the concerns. But adequate, I think we better live with adequate. It keeps the positivity and encouragement for the submitting state to further the efforts which they have, the conservation, which have been appreciated by the evaluation body. And after the inscription, there is a paragraph encouraging the submitting state to do, the new further efforts which we wish to have. So I think, I feel it's okay to keep this adequate, which means why we are coming to the conclusion of inscription is because we came to a consensus that it is adequate. But I can, again, if it is very strange, I can live with deleting it, but I would propose to retain adequate as it stands. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ethiopia. As I announced yesterday, the interpretation will be provided 5:50, so we have to finish this work. So after 5:50, we will continue only in English. Having said this, I'd like to give the floor to Algeria.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Non, rapidement, si ça peut aider, on peut laisser le paragraphe tel qu'amendé par la Palestine, la Bulgarie, Chypre et ainsi que d'autres pays. Nous n'avons pas de problème avec ça, avec le mot adéquat, mais reprendre peut-être les préoccupations qu'a exprimées la Hongrie ainsi que d'autres à la fin après l'inscription, si vous le permettez. Nous aurions un petit langage à proposer qui va dans le sens d'encourager l'État soumissionnaire avec deux points qui ont été cités par l'organe d'évaluation dans l'ancien R3. Donc, si cela peut aider à sortir de l'ornière et à avancer plus vite, nous serions prêts à le proposer. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Nous sommes entre vos mains.
Now Palestine and followed by Philippines. So Palestine first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In order to save time, first I would like to thank our colleague from Ethiopia. It was very clear, and our colleague from Algeria. But for the sake of time and for the sake of consensus, we are ready to delete it. In that case, Hungary will join the consensus and even some other members. So let's move quickly. Okay, for the deletion of adequate, even if I'm not happy with it, but it is for consensus, let's go forward. Let's delete adequate and adopt R3. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now, Philippines.
Thank you, Chair. We appreciate the flexibility. We also just want to state that our delegation's preference is actually for the original text after the explanation from the evaluation body and the Secretariat. And so in this spirit of flexibility with the deletion of adequate, we will not block the consensus. So we can go along with the deletion. We thank the distinguished delegate of Palestine for deleting adequate. And well, we would like to have a short statement perhaps before the decision as a whole is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, dear colleagues. I think with the deletion of adequate, we almost reached consensus on R3. Any other comments on my ruling? Without adequate, proposed by Hungary, and every committee members are agreeable. Seeing no objection, with the deletion of the word adequate, R3 is adopted. R4, no amendment in original language. Seeing no objection, is adopted. R5 is the same co-sponsorship. And the floor is open. Any comment? Hungary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to join the consensus, we would like to express support for this R5 and join the co-sponsors. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Hungary. So I think R5 newly proposed text by so many co-sponsors. I think there's no more objections. I see none, so R5 is adopted as proposed. So, can we adopt the Para 2 as a whole? Seeing no objection, Para 2 is adopted. Here is Para 3. Yeah, Para 3. Seeing no objection, Para 3. Okay, Hungary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And quickly, just to inscribe Hungary also as a co-sponsor of this paragraph. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hungary. With the participation of Hungary, I think Para 3 is adopted. Para 4, almost in the same context, thanking the submitting state, Zambia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would like to join the team of committee members that have supported this nomination. However, I would want to add, I don't know whether you'd want to call it a para 5, we should say advises the submitting state to ensure all safeguarding measures that have been initiated for Khaen music of the Lao people are maintained and where necessary strengthened. Because I say so because I have a feeling that the committee members have significantly helped Lao to come up with the wording, but on the ground it may be different. So I would want to, as a committee, to advise them to ensure that the measures that have been initiated are maintained and where necessary, strengthened. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Algeria?
Oui, Monsieur le Président, nous souhaiterions soutenir ce que vient de dire la Zambie. Nous pensons que ça a du sens et nous souhaiterions aller dans la consolidation et même rajouter la recommandation de l'organe d'évaluation concernant les plans de sauvegarde spécifiques à chaque élément, parce que je crois que cette recommandation a du sens. Et après R5 et encourage l'État partie à poursuivre ses efforts pour établir des plans de sauvegarde, adaptés, durables, avec l'active participation, etc., etc. Donc, plan de sauvegarde durable, adapté, avec la permission des co-sponsors, cela s'en dit.
Okay, thank you, Algeria. Yeah, we are almost there. So, can the Secretariat to elaborate the newly proposed language? Mr. Nassim, can you elaborate some language?
Oui, nous sommes à la fin du paragraphe, Monsieur le Président. Donc, après la citation des critères R3 et R5, rien ne change. Donc, encourage l'État partie à poursuivre ses efforts pour établir des plans de sauvegarde spécifiques à chaque élément. Virgule, spécifique à chaque élément. C'est ce qui a été recommandé par l'organe d'évaluation dans le R3. Spécifique à chaque élément. Chaque élément, virgule. Donc, il reste sans changement, durable, et avec l'actif partie pour rester correct dans en linguistique. Donc, arrive, voilà, et avec l'actif participation. Voilà, Monsieur le Président, si cet amendement peut être pris en compte, l'Algérie souhaiterait aussi se porter co-sponsor de la décision. Je vous remercie.
Yeah, as I said earlier, as from now there is no interpretation, so we have to decide whether to continue in English or stop here and we'll take up once again tomorrow. Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that we are about to finish this decision. So with your permission and the permission of our colleagues, I suggest to continue just when we finish the adoption. And finally, I would like to thank our colleague from Algeria for the enhancement of the language. We agree fully with his amendment. So please, you can continue, and we have no problem if there is no translation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. We are Palestine. And Turkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to echo Palestine, I think it would be good if we can proceed in English, I mean, without any translation, because I understand that in 11C, when we consider the case of Vietnam, the delegation of Vietnam will have to leave tonight, so it will be good if we can proceed and finish that consideration of that agenda item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Turkey. Palestine.
Mr. Chair, very quickly, just to support the proposal made by Turkey. Thank you.
If that's the case, committee members, we should finalize the concrete language, para 4. Hungary and Austria. Hungary first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry for taking the floor so many times. I would like to suggest a modification in the text. Instead of encourages, I would suggest invites. And I would like to make 2 points. One is that the problem identified in R5 by the evaluation body was the updating of the inventory. And at other inscriptions where this R5 criteria was clarified, like in the case of Ireland, there was an encouragement to the state party to ensure community participation in the inventorying process and the regular updating of the inventory. So there was a point about the regular updating. There was a specific paragraph that was about the regular updating. So we should keep up that standard paragraph in this decision as well, because of the R5 problem that it had had. And so that's one issue. And I would like to see that in a separate paragraph. And then I would very much go in the sense of the rest which is there in the paragraph, which addresses R3 problem, that is pursuing its efforts to establish sustainable safeguarding plans with the active participation of the communities and practitioners concerned. So I would suggest that these 2 things be kept apart, because they address 2 different criteria. And as much as possible, we should make decisions analogous to each other. Thank you very much. I don't know if we can handle that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Austria.
This also concerns a language issue. I think the safeguarding plans are the language of the list of elements in need of urgent safeguarding, and here we should maybe use safeguarding measures.
Who? Yeah, Secretary, yeah, just for the asking clarification.
Sorry, I have a point we wish to clarify following this, the proposal by Algeria. Algeria's proposal was to measures specific to each element, okay? There is one element in this file, so do you mean measures in general, all at each element? Or because the file says specifically for the element in question, so it doesn't mean the same thing. Donc est-ce qu'il s'agit de tous les éléments en général ou est-ce que c'est l'élément-là?
Can I respond, Mr.
President?
Yes. Since we are adopting this element, I think it's for the better that we can come up with this recommendation for the future. So we are talking now not only for this element because it's now adopted, but for the future element of Republic of Laos, I think we should take into account the recommendation of the evaluation body. Thank you.
again, if we read the whole sentence, it's not clear if you mean you are making this recommendation beyond this specific element that is dealing in the nomination file, correct? Or you want to mean for this one?
For this one and futures files. For this one and futures files, because this is what our understanding about the recommendation of the evaluation body, and they can explain to us, because for us they said in R3, if you allow me, they said that this specific case had not the safeguarding measure are like, general for all the elements. Thank you.
Yes, we are almost arriving at the consensus. We just received a written proposal for new para 5 and 6, and we can easily agree on those new paras. Now, Secretariat is uploading. Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that we are reaching the end of this thing, and thanks for our colleague from Hungary. Actually, in that case, there is no need to continue paragraph 4 after R3 and R5. We can stop there, because all what is mentioned afterwards, it is in paragraph NEU 5 and NEU 6. So, and it is, I think it would be enough to keep it this way, but this will delete the concern of our colleague from Algeria. So if he can live with it, I think the text becomes very clear and very legible. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Palestine, I think Hungary can agree with your suggestion, but now it's Algeria.
We can live with everything, Mr. President.
Thank you, Algeria. So I think para 4, just the R3 and R5 and the period. And it will be complemented by new para 5 and 6. Any other comments or objections? Seeing none, para 4, new para 5, new para 6, 3 paras are adopted. Philippines.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Before adopting the decision as a whole, we'd like to register our serious concern about accepting and interpreting the additional information only received this morning that was not originally part of the file submitted, and thus altering the substantiated recommendation of the evaluation body based on the original submission and recognized rules and practices of this convention. This touches upon the nature of the representative list and the integrity and credibility of the committee. It is imperative for the committee and states parties to maintain certain standards of consistency and abide by the operational directives and agreed timelines. Having said this, we also believe that establishing a procedure for dialogue between the nominating states parties and the evaluation body before the publication of their recommendations would help the committee and the Secretariat deal with such situations on criteria other than R5 before the committee sessions and avoid such lengthy discussions as we have witnessed today. We note that this is an item on our agenda for tomorrow. Having said this, again, we wish not to block the consensus and congratulate the state party.
Okay, thank you, Philippines, for your spirit of consensus and cooperation. So, can we adopt the draft decision 12.com, 11.b, 20 as a whole? Seeing no objection, it's adopted. I therefore declare decision 12.com, 11.b, 20 officially adopted as amended. And the Vietnam is there? No, Laos? Okay. Congratulations, Laos, and the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, Mesdames, Messieurs les secrétaires, Mesdames, Messieurs et les membres du Comité du patrimoine culturel et matériel, Mesdames, Messieurs les membres de l'organe d'évaluation, tout d'abord, permettez-moi de remercier le gouvernement de la République de Corée pour son accueil exceptionnel qu'il nous a réservé. Au nom du peuple de la République populaire Laos et de notre gouvernement, je tiens à remercier très chaleureusement de l'UNESCO et l'ensemble des membres d'avoir tout d'abord imaginé cette formidable convention sur le patrimoine culturel et matériel qui nous permet aujourd'hui encore de dresser des ponts entre nos peuples et nos cultures. C'est aussi le sens de la vocation de la musique khaen dont vous avez aujourd'hui accepté l'inscription sur la liste représentative. Vous permettez ainsi aux praticiens au comité de la République populaire Laos de vivre un moment historique pour son premier patrimoine culturel et matériel inscrit. C'est un sentiment immense de joie et de fierté, un cadeau inestimable que vous venez de lui offrir. Merci beaucoup, mesdames.
Yeah, congratulations once again, Laos People's Democratic Republic. Please, ladies and gentlemen, before closing, let me remind you that tomorrow morning the Bureau will meet again at 9 a.m. in the Hala Hall to continue with this work. The vice chairpersons from Bulgaria, Colombia, Cote d'Ivoire, Palestine, and Turkey, as well as our rapporteur, please be there on time. I will now pass the floor to the Secretary for a few practical announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Just to inform everyone again that the ICH NGO Forum will be meeting in a plenary session between 6 and 8:30 p.m. in Sumda Hall. Thank you.
Our session of the committee will start tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. Please, everyone, be seated on time. With that, I declare today's meeting adjourned. 9 o'clock. Yeah, 9 o'clock. Nice.